Hello, Sun City residents. This is Rusty Bradshaw here to give you some highlights from the Sun City Fire District Board meeting that took place yesterday, March 25th. And to begin with, Finance Director Gabe Boldra said that he will be meeting with the district chief, the fire department chiefs this week, and they will start putting together a preliminary budget for the 2025-26 fiscal year. They expect to have rough numbers by the April meeting, and they would expect to do the initial adoption of the budget at the May meeting. Also in yesterday's meeting, the board approved spending $29,900 to High Ground Public Affairs to do a informational campaign about the new non-transport fee of $315.80. That's 315.80 for each call to a residence that does not require a transport of a patient, or if a patient refuses transport. Now, this fee of $315.80 already exists for patients who call for assistance and some kind of medication is applied at the time of service. The board has simply extended that fee to include all other non-transport calls that don't involve medications of any kind. Now, this is done because the Sun City Fire and Medical Department is facing budgetary challenges because of the limits that they are under in terms of collecting property tax. The district can only see an increase in property tax revenues up to 5%. 5% is the cap. For the coming year, that is at 1.5%. So they're losing revenue, and they're limited, and there's no other resource for them except donations, which come sparingly. Now, High Ground, they recognize that the Sun City Fire and Medical Department receives over 4,000 calls per year that end up being non-transport calls. In their campaign, which will begin probably in May, they'll use the month of April to put together the campaign and start putting out information in May. In that campaign, they're not going to focus so much on the fee, but they're going to focus on the challenges faced by the fire department. That'll include funding, salaries, workload, response times. They'll talk about those challenges and why the department is facing them. They also will do an educational part, providing residents with alternatives to calling the fire department, such as fall prevention. Most of the calls that are made are for falls in the home, where the fire department goes and picks the patient up, gets them back on their feet. There are ways to prevent those falls. Now, using those alternatives, that could reduce the calls for service. That, in turn, would lighten the load for the firefighters. One of the reasons that Sun City Fire and Medical is losing firefighters is because, number one, other agencies pay more, especially municipalities who do not have a limit on their revenue stream. Plus, the call volume is lower. In Sun City, there's so many more senior residents, and the average age is over 75. So there's quite a bit of calls. Now, high ground officials said that they recognize that the Sun City Fire and Medical Department is very fiscally responsible. And I can address that, having covered the department for 15 years in my role with the local weekly newspaper. And I'll go through a little history for you on the fire department. When it was formed in 1966 by Sun City residents, it was formed with the sole intent of providing fire protection. Over the years, and it was probably mostly driven by the need for medical assistance from residents, the department evolved into providing more medical assistance, more paramedic type things. The vast majority of Sun City Fire and Medical Department's calls are medical calls, not fire anymore. During the economic downturn of 2008-2009, this department did everything it could to cut expenses while keeping the service at a quality level. This included 4 or 5 years when the firefighters union went to the board and said, "Don't give us any raises. We want to help you through this crisis." Now, the fact is, since that time, all those cuts that were made have never been recovered. The department is behind its funding source. Now, I also had a gentleman the other day complain to me and say that the department created its own problem in terms of the budget, and because they weren't handling things properly. One of the things he mentioned is running a fire truck on every medical call instead of just sending an ambulance. Now, the reason that Sun City Fire and Medical Department runs a truck on every call is that they don't know what they're going to face when they get there. A call might go into dispatch saying, "Oh, I have back pain." But they get there and find out there's more serious problems. If they had gone with just an ambulance for just back pain, they might not have had the personnel, the number of bodies they needed to take care of the problem, or the equipment. Those trucks have all the tools needed in a medical emergency. In fact, the chief calls them the rolling toolbox. Now, this procedure is not unique to Sun City Fire and Medical Department. All the departments in the valley, both fire districts and municipal departments, run a truck on every medical call. It's not unique. And in fact, most Western states do that. And mostly because it's recommended by the Federal Fire Protection Agency. So how it's done in other places is irrelevant to what's going on here. This is done to protect the patients. You know, if I had a call, I'd want them to come prepared for anything. And if they come here to my home and they take care of whatever they need without an ambulance and without taking me to the hospital, I'll gladly pay the $315.80 rather than a $1,200 ambulance ride. So, please be aware when the campaign begins in May. Listen to what they're telling. Ask questions. Go to board meetings. Ask questions. Be proactive. Find out what's going on. Don't just go by rumor and what your neighbor might say. Find out for yourself. Find out the facts. Thank you for watching.